Spills and Thrills with Thomas. Thomas and the Giant Jelly. Connor, Caitlin. Connor and Caitlin are two of the fastest engines to visit the island of Sodor, and they love to race. Connor and Caitlin bring passengers from the mainland to Ulfstead Castle over the Vickerstown Bridge. Stephen. Stephen was one of the first engines ever designed. In his day, he was very fast and he earned the nickname the Rocket. These days, Stephen is much slower and now works for the Earl at Ulfstead Castle. He takes passengers on trips to see the sights on the castle grounds. It was a bright sunny day on the island of Sodor when the Fat Controller called Thomas to the yard. "The Earl is having a party," said the Fat Controller, "so you must take this giant jelly to the castle." Thomas was very excited. He loved seeing how shiny and wobbly the jelly was. He liked looking at the jelly so much, he decided to push the jelly to the castle instead of pulling it. Thomas was puffing across the countryside towards the castle. He really enjoyed watching the giant jelly wobble as he chuffed along the tracks. Suddenly, Connor and Caitlin whizzed past. They were having a race. "Great giant jelly," said Connor. "Really wobbly," said Caitlin. If everyone likes seeing the giant jelly, thought Thomas, maybe I shouldn't go straight to the castle. Maybe I should go and show some of the other engines. Thomas puffed to Knapford Station to show the other engines the giant jelly. He puffed back and forth, making it wobble. The other engines thought it was wonderful. But then Stephen arrived. "It's time for dessert at the party," said Stephen. "The Earl needs the jelly quickly." "Oh no," tooted Thomas. "I was so busy showing everyone the jelly, I forgot to take it to the castle." They clattered over hills and rattled around bends. Thomas was very excited. The giant jelly was wobbling more than ever, and he was going to get it to the castle in record time. So Thomas asked Caitlin to push him to the castle. She was one of the fastest engines on the island of Sodor. "Race you," said Connor. "You're on," said Caitlin. And when Caitlin started to race Connor, she went even faster. But when they got to the castle, Caitlin stopped. Connor stopped. Even Thomas stopped. But the giant jelly didn't. The giant jelly flew off the end of the truck. It soared through the air and splattered all over the Earl. "Sorry," said Thomas. "Never mind, Thomas," chuckled the Earl. "At least the jelly got here on time." Thomas smiled. He couldn't wait till the next time the Earl had a party. Maybe he could take another jelly to the castle. The end. Spills and Thrills with Thomas, the Honeybee Express. Rosie. Rosie is a pretty pink tank engine. She is friendly and chatty and enjoys doing her work. Rosie likes to have fun with Thomas and also likes to help him do his work. Gordon. Gordon is a large tender engine who pulls the express. He is a very fast and strong engine and often uses his strength to help smaller engines in trouble. Harvey. Harvey is a big-hearted, cheerful crane engine. He has a very unusual shape. His crane arm and hook are very useful for lifting cargo and sometimes even smaller engines. Rosie was collecting some barrels of honey from the farm to take to the bakery when Thomas pulled up. "Hello, Rosie," said Thomas. "Are you collecting honey?" "Yes, I'm taking all this lovely sweet honey to the bakery," said Rosie. Thomas loved honey, and when he saw all the lovely sweet honey that Rosie was carrying, he wanted the job for himself. So Thomas cheekily gave Rosie's trucks an extra hard biff. Unfortunately, the biff was a bit harder than Thomas realized. It knocked Rosie off her tracks and knocked a big barrel of honey up into the air. The honey landed with a splat all over Thomas. Thomas didn't mind because he loved honey. "I'll have to wait for Harvey to get me back on the tracks," said Rosie. "That means I'll have to deliver the honey to the bakery then," said Thomas. Thomas was very happy taking the honey to the bakery, but then he passed some beehives, and because he was covered in the honey, the bees began to follow him. Soon there was a whole swarm of bees behind Thomas. "Oh no," said Thomas. "I like honey, but I don't like bees chasing me." Then Thomas saw Gordon pulling the express. Gordon was one of the fastest engines on Sodor. But Thomas was so frightened of the bees, he puffed right past Gordon. "Overtaken by Thomas? Oh, the indignity," sighed Gordon. Thomas was going so fast, he rattled round a sharp bend and came off the rails. Luckily, it wasn't long before Harvey arrived. "Having a bit of trouble, Thomas?" smiled Harvey kindly. Harvey lifted Thomas and his trucks back onto the rails. Just then, Rosie arrived and thought Thomas looked very funny. "Do you want me to take your honey for you now, Thomas?" she chuckled. "Yes, please, Rosie," said Thomas. "I'm sorry I biffed you. I just really wanted to take the honey." "That's all right, Thomas," said Rosie. Rosie coupled up to the trucks of honey and headed off to the bakery. "Maybe I should go to the washdown," said Thomas. "Good idea," laughed Harvey. So Thomas chuffed off to the washdown covered in honey. "I don't think I like honey anymore," Thomas puffed. The end. Spills and thrills with Thomas. Too many trucks. Porter. Porter is a friendly new steam engine that shunts trucks at Brendam Docks. He has 3 domes on his boiler, 1 steam dome and 2 sandboxes. James. James is very proud of his shiny red paintwork and often thinks he is better than the other engines. James normally pulls passengers and doesn't like it when he has to pull cargo instead. Salty. Salty the dockside diesel is a hard-working engine who loves to tell tall tales of his life by the sea. He has a great big heart and loves working at Brendam Docks. One morning, Thomas and James were at Brendam Docks when the Fat Controller came to see them. There has been an extra large catch of fish today," said the Fat Controller, "so I need you two to take them to market." "I'm a passenger engine," said James. "I think you should take them, Thomas." But Thomas didn't like the smell of fish. He didn't want to take the trucks either. So Thomas decided to trick James into taking them all. "A really strong engine would be able to take all of those fish in one go," said Thomas. This gave Salty an idea for a really tall tale. "I met the strongest engine in the world once," said Salty. "He could have easily taken all those trucks." This made James cross. He wanted Thomas, Porter and Salty to think he was really strong. "I'll show you," said James. "I'll prove that I'm the strongest engine in the world." So Porter shunted all of the trucks full of fish into a line, ready for James to take. "I can't wait to see this," laughed Porter. James pulled as hard as he could, but he couldn't move the trucks. So then James tried pushing the trucks. He gave the trucks an extra hard biff. Then there was trouble. The truck on the end broke and all of the fish spilled out. But he still couldn't move them. James was funnel deep in haddock. Then the Fat Controller arrived. I'm sorry, sir, said Thomas. I tricked James into trying to take all of the fish at once. You have caused confusion and delay, said the Fat Controller. Now you must take all of the trucks yourself while James goes to the washdown. Porter shunted the trucks into groups of 4, ready for Thomas to take. There you go, puffed Porter. Your trucks are ready. Thomas puffed back and forth from random docks to the market as fast as he could. But as Thomas raced to the market for the last time, James was leaving the washdown. James was feeling very clean and shiny. But Thomas was going so fast, he didn't see James. And he bumped into the back of him. A truck full of fish flew into the air and covered Thomas and James. I think we both need to go to the washdown now, puffed Thomas. The end.